Good evening and welcome to another Candid Conversation. We are so happy that you were able to join us for tonight's discussion. Quick PSA before we get started. Please remember to type in your question in either the comment box or in the link found in the description box. After our speaker is done, they will then answer your questions, which will prove to be difficult if there are no questions to answer. So please remember that a conversation requires more than one person, so do your part. With that being said, relax, type in your question, and let's have a conversation.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to part 9. Welcome to part 9 of Candid Conversations. I'm going to ask the question, is God religious? I want to talk about the problem of religion. This is one that is really, really close to my heart, because it is impossible to talk about faith without talking about religion. You cannot separate the two, mainly because religion is defined as, and I'll read it, an organized system of beliefs, ceremonies, and rules used to worship a god or a group of gods. The problem that most people have with religion isn't so much the idea of faith in a divine being. It's the contradiction that they see repeatedly in the lives of the people who name God, the people who invoke the name of God, especially those who invoke the name of Jesus Christ. Because in the name of religion and in the name of Jesus, in the name of God or gods, people have waged war, enslaved continents, overthrown governments, committed acts of genocide. And everything that I've just named, we've seen in our lifetime. I'm not talking about ancient times. I'm talking about what we've seen in the past 100 years, 50 years, 50 years. You see, we see this conflict time and time again. And we see this conflict time and time again in the biblical narrative. We see this conflict time and time again in the biblical narrative, in the ministry of Jesus, as Jesus seeks to point out the flaws in the way in which God is seen and God is taught and God is imagined. The way in which the religious temple, the way in which the organized official religious temple speak about God and present God. But that's not even a new conflict in Jesus's time, because you see that played out time and time again in the narratives that make up what we call the Old Testament. Throughout the Old Testament, or the stories that come before the gospel stories, we see this constant back and forth between God and the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel, concerning who God had called them out of slavery to be. Call them out of Egyptian slavery to be in the world. Them being called to fulfill the promise that he had made to Abraham, that through you I will bless all the nations of the world. And the blessing to all the nations of the world was that they would know him, and know him personally and intimately through the lives of other human beings. And so you constantly see this. His desire for the nation is that the nation becomes a nation that bears witness to God. It's a nation of testimony. It's a nation that bears witness to who God is seeking to be for us, with us, and through us in the world. It's a constant. The nation centers itself. It centers itself in this whole idea of the presence of God, the power of God, the forgiveness of God, the transforming, abiding presence of the Spirit of God. In this idea of covenant or agreement and responsibility, the covenant that God makes with us, and the responsibility that he places in seeing that we are empowered to be that people, and then the responsibility that we have for agreeing to be named in that covenant and joined in that relationship, and the responsibility we have to that. It's a system of faith and its teachings. It's a system of faith, and its teachings give meaning to the whole idea of the nation. And the nation orders itself around that idea. And it orders itself around that purpose. But time and time again, we see human nature. Time and time again, we see human nature as displayed in the nation. And the nation becomes self-centered. The nation becomes self-centered and religiously oriented to the exclusion of the people and to the exclusion of the teachings of faith in the lives of the people that it was created to empower. And we see that constantly, time and time again. You see that played out. The religious organization becomes its own power, and one that does not hold the power-hungry kings to accountability, essentially enabling and blessing the kings in their corruption and blessing the kings in their oppression of the people. And therefore you see the rise of the prophets. The prophets were called to hold both the temple, organized religion, and the kings, the state. The kings and the state, the prophets are called to hold them to account. The prophets are called to bring them back to the heart of who they were, the heart of who they're supposed to be. But especially the temple. Why? Because the nation exists because of the temple. Because the nation exists because of its faith in God. It exists because of who God has called them to be. When the temple loses sight of that, when the organization of the faith and the way in which the idea of God and the belief in God and the transforming teaching of God and the responsibility of that idea of God as reflected in the lives of the people that are close to us and the nations that surround us and the communities that we create. When that is left and lost sight of, all that is left is religion. Religion in and of itself, religion by itself, and religion is all you have when the transforming and when the transformation and the renewal, which is at the heart of your belief, takes second place to the importance of the idea of just the religious system itself. When the responsibility of bearing witness, when the responsibility of bearing witness and being that lived testimony gives way to religious, organizational influence and the maintenance of just that power, well, religion is all that you have left. Protecting the power that the teachings of religion have over the people to the disadvantage and spiritual decay of the people that it was supposed to empower is what you see in the whole continued narrative of dysfunctional belief and dysfunctional religion. And this was the experience of Israel. This was the experience of Israel. They were left with a religious system devoid of the heart, life, and love of God, which that system of teaching was created to bear witness to. Listen to the prophet Micah in Micah chapter 6. He said, "With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before the exalted God? Shall I come with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with 1,000 rams, with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? All the religious trappings, but devoid of the heart of God. But listen to what he says. He says, he has shown you, O mortal, what is good and what the law requires of you: to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. To love mercy, to walk humbly, to act justly. Listen to Jesus. Jesus says in Matthew chapter 23, how terrible it will be for you legal experts and Pharisees, hypocrites. And hypocrites means actors. He said, you give to God 1/10 of mint, dill, and cumin. That's a tithe. You give your religious offerings. He said, but you forget about the more important matters of the law. And what does Jesus say they are? Justice and peace and faith. He said, you ought to give 1/10, but without forgetting about the more important matters. Listen to the Apostle James. He says, those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their mouths deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Religion that God, our Father, accepts is pure and faultless. As pure and faultless. Let me read that again, because I really hammed that one up, didn't I? It said, for those who consider themselves religious and do not keep a tight rein on their tongues, they deceive themselves and their religion is worthless. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from becoming polluted by the world. Is God religious? Yeah, he is. God still wants us to order ourselves in a space of alignment with him. God still wants to give us something of importance through which he directs our life. God still wants to place within our lives idea of self and ideas of navigating ourselves and building communities that are of worth and of meaning and of importance in the world, and within the framework of faith in him. Is God religious? Yes, he is. The question that I have, though, is this: is God the God of the religion we see constantly in our news and on our TV and in the world around us? Now, that for me is the more important question. Is God the God of that religion? Is the Jesus that we see reflected in the Gospels the one that we consistently see in the actions and in the inactions of religious people today? That for me is the real question that we need to be asking ourselves as people of faith and as people in search of faith. What is my prayer? What is my prayer to you? My prayer is that may you not only come to understand and come to the realization that a God of intentionality and of love is seeking to make himself known to you, but may that intentionality become manifest in your lived experience. I enjoy that little clip of a break. Gives us all the moment to just kind of catch our breath and just, what did he just say? Did he just say that? Before I go into your questions, I just want to once again thank you for your support. We want to thank you as a Mount Pisgah community for your support of what we're doing, of what we do from week to week. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for asking about ways in which you can support. And you can support this ministry. You can support what we're doing. Just go to any of Mount Pisgah administrative pages on our website, or just through the administration here. Just inbox the administration here and ask ways in which you can continue to support what we're doing in these candid conversations. We're really grateful for you, and we thank God for you. So the question has been asked: what is the difference between being what's the difference between being spiritual and being religious? I think religion has got such a bad reputation now. The idea of religion has got such a bad name added to it. You know, people say, I don't want religion, I want relationship. But what is religion? All religion is just the organized and systematized teachings of your faith. When you put it together, organize it, say this is what we believe, this is how we orient ourselves, this is the way in which as a religious organization we engage the world. That really is religion. People, and so all of us on one level or another within faith communities, whatever the faith community is, whether it be Christianity, whether it be Islam, whether it be Buddhism, Shinto, whatever it may be, whatever we all orient ourselves around. The religious mechanics, as it were, the religious structure, construct of what it is we believe. It's when those beliefs become when they become, or the organization, not the beliefs, when the organization of the religion becomes more important than the lives of the people. When we protect the organized structure of our religion, and we preserve that to the destruction and the disadvantage of the people, that's when religion becomes a bad thing. That's when religion becomes a dangerous thing. And so that's why religion has got such a bad rep attached to it. And so people run towards relationship. They run towards spirituality. But spirituality in and of itself sometimes behaves in the same way. Religions become self-protective, but we can have a spirituality that is very, what I call spiritually narcissistic. So it's all about me looking within me to find the best me so that I can be the best me in the world around me. But with no real thought to, well, how does that best you, what is the responsibility of that best you in the community that you find yourself in? What is the responsibility of that best you to the environment that surrounds you? What is the responsibility of that best you to social inequities that you see, to the struggling of a family that might be next to you? If all your spirituality does is just make you hide yourself inside yourself so that you can protect yourself and be the best you that you can be, unpolluted by everything that is bad around you, then it's really no different than the religion that you're trying to run from. What did James say? He said that religion is pure and that is undefiled is religion that actually cares for the widows, that actually seeks mercy, that actually seeks justice. What did Micah say? The Lord has shown you what is good. So religion, true religion, pure religion, meaningful religion, at the heart of it. Sorry, my slippers fell off. True religion, at the heart of it, it always calls us back to bear witness to the God who that is about. In the case of these narratives that we're talking about from the biblical narrative, they are always being drawn back to who God is, what God called them out of. For instance, Israel called them out of slavery to be, who God called them out of slavery to be, what God called them out of slavery to be. Your religion is about bearing witness to the transforming power of a God who remains present in the human struggle, who seeks to transform the human struggle. That's what your religion should be. And so therefore, your religion is a religion that always extends itself outside of itself. Why? Because God is other-centered, extending himself outside of himself. The same with spirituality. There should be no difference between spirituality and religion, because you gain your spirituality from your religious beliefs. Your spirituality is the expression of that. Your spirituality in Christianity, spirituality is best placed on based on what of the best of yourself that you find in yourself, inside yourself. Spirituality in Christianity is based on the idea that Jesus comes and lives within your lived reality. You understand him as a living person coming through his spirit to live in your lived reality, and therefore helping you to love better and live better and dig deeper and extend further and do the things that he did when he said to that woman who was caught in adultery, and she was wrong, but he said, yeah, I'm not condemning you, but listen, go home, hey, and behave yourself. That's what go and sin no more means. Hey, behave yourself. All right, behave yourself. You know, when Jesus walks up to people who are outcasts, like Levi, who was a tax collector and an enemy of his people and the enemy of Rome. So he was an outcast. And he walked up to the table where he sat and he said, hey, come on. All right, enough. Come and follow me. Step away from that table and know that the whole of society has ostracized you and you have no place in society, but come and follow me. That is spirituality. Spirituality that is other-centered. Senses itself as being empowered by more than just its own self, but draws a greater into itself and moves out in the world. So is there a difference between being spiritual and being religious? Yeah, there is on both cases. But sometimes devoid of God in spirituality and religion, they can be just the same side of the same coin. So let's think about that. Should someone learn about other religions before deciding on one? Of course. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? But my question is, rather than learn about the religion, learn about the person whose name is over the door. Learn about the person whose name is over the door. Christianity, the name of Jesus is over the door. So I'm going to learn about him. I'm going to learn about him, who he was, because I'm basing my life, I'm basing my beliefs, I'm basing everything about him. So I'm going to look at him throughout the whole testimony of the Bible. Because the Bible testifies that he was here born in the flesh and that he also revealed himself in the Old Testament. So I want to look at his whole track record before I turn around and commit myself to believing in him and seeking to be a follower of him, because I realize that he's somebody worth following. You know, check and see whether the experience of this person is an experience that you can see, that if they know what it means to walk in your shoes, if they know what it means to experience what you experience, if they are as in touch with their humanity as you are in touch with your humanity. Yeah, check people. So please tell me where you're watching from. Angela is watching from Jamaica. And thank you for watching from Jamaica. I am a graduate of NCU, proud graduate of the Hill, class of 97. So really good, really good to to have you here. Really good to have you here. We don't seem to have any more questions. So let me just take this moment to jump back in and remind you, that we are here every week. We're here on a Thursday. We're here on a Sunday. We Pastor Bobby Bovell on a Sunday. We are the two virtual pastors here at Mount Pisgah. Here at Mount Pisgah Church. We are here week after week, sharing in these two spaces. We ask that you continue to support us. We ask that you continue to lean in to what we're doing. See it as your thing. See it as yours. We are going to be creating promotional clips. We are going to be creating content that we can give you links to, and you can just send it to your friends. Send it in a text. Create a WhatsApp group. Hey, create a WhatsApp group. And in your WhatsApp group, just once a week, create a Candid Conversation WhatsApp group. And once a week, you will sit down together within your WhatsApp group and you watch this and you just tweet. You just have conversations behind you, I like what Eddie's saying. Why doesn't Eddie change his background? Is that a roll of toilet rolls that Eddie has behind him? And apparently, no, it's not a roll of toilet rolls. That is a lampshade, because somebody asked me that once. So I'm just clearing that up for all of you, yeah? That is not a roll of toilet rolls that is over my shoulder. That is actually a lampshade. And with that, I am going to actually stop now. Remember, Bobby Bovell is with you on Sunday. I am going to be with you next Thursday. These are Candid Conversations. It's a blessing to be with you. Continue to support what we're doing. And we will continue, by the grace of God, to be in this space and have these Candid Conversations with you each week. God bless.
Thank you for joining us for tonight's Candid Conversation. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as click the bell notifications so that way you are notified every time we go live or post a video. Have any questions, comments, thoughts? Be sure to click the link found in the description box and let us know what's good. And as always, ain't no judgment on this side. Also, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms so that way you stay in the know every time something is happening here at Mount Pisgah. As always, see you next time.